Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I set up my bullet journal for October, but I'm doing something a little different today and filming my entire setup out on the balcony because the weather was just too beautiful to pass that up, so I invite you to grab a snack and your journal and enjoy a little time outside. The supplies I pulled out today are a 0.5 weight fine liner, some color pencils, these ones are from Prismacolor, and also some markers, these are Crayola Super Tip markers. As you might have seen from the thumbnail, October's theme is going to be donuts, and I think this is going to be a really fun theme because I personally love donuts, but even if you don't, they're also just really fun to draw and to color in and choose all of the different toppings, so I think that you'll like this whether or not you have a sweet tooth. I started off my cover page by writing October in bubble letters. I thought bubble letters would be perfect for this because they look a little bit like donuts already. And then I'm going to get started drawing in a bunch of donut shapes to fill in the rest of the page. I wanted to fill in this entire cover page with lots of different illustrations of donuts, and this way I get to play around with choosing a lot of different toppings and bringing a lot of color into this first page. I drew most of these donuts in the classic shape with the little hole in the middle, but I also left some of them whole so that I could draw in different kinds of specialty donuts like jelly donuts and Boston cream, that kind of thing, and just to break it up a little bit so that not every donut looks the same. You can see here I'm starting to draw in some of the toppings and frosting areas for these donuts, and I also have one that is going to be my personal favorite flavor of donut, which is maple bacon. I love the sweet and salty combo of it since I don't have a huge sweet tooth. And then I'm going to color in the bubble letters that I started for October. I'm going a little out of the lines for a little bit of a messy look here and just bringing in a couple of colors that I'm going to use throughout the rest of these spreads. Now I'm going to switch to colored pencils to color in the rest of the donuts just because I didn't have a lot of colors in my markers that would work for toppings, and also I just think it would be easier to blend and make things a little more realistic with colored pencils, so that's what I went with, but feel free to use markers if that's all you have, or if you want to go for a more whimsical look with very bright colored donuts. Again, I want to make mine a little more realistic, so I'm just sticking to pretty typical donut colors and flavors. So you can see how I colored in my maple bacon one with the reddish color for those bacon pieces, and then I'm going to go in with the rest of these illustrations, just having fun with the colors and toppings. So some of them I'm going to add sprinkles and color in the frosting. But really, with all of the donut flavors out there, I'm sure you guys can think of some other ones that I did not do, and comment below which donut flavor is your personal favorite. So just wrapping up the rest of my coloring on this page here, and this page was so much fun to decorate and fill in. It makes you a little hungry too, so make sure you have a snack nearby while you're doing this. Now moving on to the next spread, I'm going to be doing my monthly calendar, and I just turned my notebook over onto its side and I'm writing October down the long ways of the notebook. And I'm going to fill in the rest of the spread with all of the boxes for the month. Then in the extra areas in the top left corner and the bottom right corner, I'm just adding in some extra boxes for my notes and a box for things for next month. And then I'm also going to fill in some of the spaces with more donut illustrations, just weaving them over and behind some of the boxes so that they interact with the design more. And then I'm just going to do the same thing as I did in the last page and color in my header with my markers and then color in my donuts with colored pencils. Once everything was all colored in, I just added in a little bit more color to the page since I thought it looked a little blank. So I added some colored drop shadows to the boxes. I did all of the date boxes in pink and then the other boxes in green just to differentiate them a little bit. I forgot to write in the date numbers at this point, so I just went in later and did that, but that's easy enough, so I figured you guys didn't have to see that part. I thought this theme would be perfect to really have fun with some of the monthly spreads, so I'm starting off with a habit tracker, and I just wrote a quick script header across the top, and then the idea for this is I'm creating a box of donuts, and each donut is going to be a habit. And then for each day that I do that habit, I'm going to color in a sprinkle. So at the end, I'm gonna have this box of hopefully very colorful sprinkled donuts, and I think it'll be really fun to fill in as the month goes on. So I'm just filling this in with some habits I want to keep track of, and then of course I had to color it in that classic pink donut box color, and the donuts are going to stay blank for now. Then on the other side of this spread, I'm doing a mood tracker, and this is kind of going to be a similar idea, but for this one I have one large donut. This is kind of like an eclair, so it's one long donut. And I'm drawing in a bunch of empty sprinkles, one for each day of the month. And I'm going to color these sprinkles in for each day as well, and each color will represent a different mood. I think these spreads are really fun, and of course they look a little blank right now, but as the month goes on, it's going to fill in with color, and I think they're going to look really great. Moving on to the weekly spreads for the month. So the first one, I'm starting off by taking my pink marker and just adding some stripes across the page, one for each day of the week. And then taking a different color for that last 8th stripe for my to-do list and meal planning. Then I'm going to really quickly fill in the days of the week, nothing too fancy here. And then I'm going to take my colored pencils and add in little sprinkles all across those pink lines that I created. Sorry for a little bit of the shakiness here. Since I'm not in my usual setup, it was a little difficult to keep my camera steady outside. But this is pretty easy stuff. I'm sure you guys get the idea. This is a very simple design, but I think it's very effective. And even with just a few quick lines of your marker and your pencils, it really brings the theme together and looks like a sprinkled donut. For my next layout, I'm starting off with a little mini header and calendar in the top left corner. And then I'm going to create 2 large boxes on either side of the page. I'm going to break these into 8 again, and then create 2 extra boxes on that empty space on the right hand side. On the left hand side, I'm just going to fill it in with some donut illustrations and then color everything in as usual. If you've been on my channel for a little bit, you may have seen me do this layout before because it is one of my favorite weekly layouts. I just think that it leaves a really good amount of space for me to write all of my lists for each day, but also for extra notes and things, since this layout actually has 3 boxes for notes and to-do lists and things like that, whereas I usually just have 2 spaces. But it also has a good amount of space for illustrations. So I think it's just a perfect layout for a beginner. If you're not sure what kind of layout you like yet, This kind of gives you a good amount of space for every area until you figure out which types of layouts are most useful for you. Since the month's theme is donuts and donuts are usually round, I really wanted to do some kind of layout with a donut shape, but obviously circles don't work too well. So for this weekly layout, I kind of just decided to go with these free-form rounded shapes that are not quite squares or ovals. I think they're just really fun and whimsical and something a little bit different. And I did each one in a different color just to make it a little more fun as well. I'm just filling in the dates in the corresponding color for each box and writing in the day of the week. Then I'm adding some black drop shadows with my black marker just to ground all of these colors together and to add some contrast since these colors are really bright. And I think without a black marker to ground it, everything looks a little bit too washed out. Then to finish it off, I'm adding sprinkles along the outer edges of the page with my markers, just scattering strokes all around, and that completes this layout. I think this is one of my favorite ones for the month. It's something different from what I've done before and very simple but effective. On to the next layout. I'm starting off with a very large box that takes up the entire right page and goes a little bit overlapping onto the left side of the page. I tried to make this look as continuous as possible, so I drew right up to the inner crease of my notebook and connected all the boxes together. And in the left area, I did one box for that whole area, but then split it up into these triangular shapes. And then in the top, I'm just doing a simple rainbow design. This isn't strictly a donut theme, but I think that the colors still work really well, and this can be almost like a rainbow donut or rainbow frosting or something like that. I think it still works with the theme, but switches it up just a tiny bit. Next, I brought in some letter stickers that I had. You don't have to use these if you don't have letter stickers. You can just letter this in whatever header style you want, but since I have these, I thought it would be fun to bring them in because I think the colors are nice and it works with this style very well. I also had some little heart stickers that I added as well, just for a fun little element. Now I'm filling in my headers for the dates and adding some drop shadows, and that completes this layout. For my final layout for the month, I'm going to be doing some more colorful boxes. So I have my same markers that I've been using for all my spreads, and again I'm doing each box in a different color. And this time I've colored in one side of each box, kind of just mixing it up and randomizing which side of the box I'm coloring in, just so that things don't look too exact or perfect, and making sure I spread out my colors pretty evenly over the two sides of the page. Then I'm just taking in my black marker to write in the dates, and I'm also going to be doing these tiny little illustrations of donuts in these color blocks. I'm not sure if they actually look like donuts because they're so small, but it still gives this page a little bit of interest, so I'm okay with that. Alright, so all the pages for the month are done, so I'm just going to do a final flip through for you to see all of the pages together. Let me know which of these spreads was your favorite or what theme you'd like to see for next month. And I also encourage you to go outside and enjoy the beautiful weather before the cold sets in and we all have to hibernate inside. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys again next time.